Will Yeon and Too-jan travel together to the future in time? In the final scene of the previous episode, Taejan gently placed a jade ring on her finger. At that moment, a thought arose clearly in her mind. This is the first time I feel that it is okay to live here forever. It was then that Yeon finally accepted her true feelings. She had fallen in love with Too-jan. Their relationship had been strengthened thanks to the trials and adversities they shared. Yeon wondered, what will become of Too-jan if I disappear from his life? Suddenly, she could not avoid worrying that her absence would sink Taejan into despair. If she disappeared and left him alone to face the cruelty of the palace, he would become the tyrant king of the history books. That is why, in his arms, she whispered, promise me that you will not become a tyrant king. Because if he did, his life would end in tragedy, just as history had recorded, a lonely death wrapped in despair and anger. It was in that moment that Yeon decided to stay with Too-jan. Meanwhile, in episode 10, the political tension intensified as Prince the Sun and his faction of ministers prepared to launch their long-planned strategy. They would carry out their plan at the upcoming banquet to celebrate the longevity of the great Queen Dowager and Yi. Prince the Sun had carefully preserved the blood-stained garments of Too-jan's late mother. His intention was to display them publicly during the banquet to provoke Too-jan's anger and discredit his leadership. When Yeon learned about the banquet, the memories of the historical records flooded her. She remembered clearly. Prince the Sun would reveal the garments during the event, and Too-jan, overwhelmed by grief and anger, would end up killing everyone related to his mother's death. Alarmed, Yeon ran to Gangil and explained everything. Both made a desperate effort to prevent the tragic future from repeating itself. Despite their attempts, Prince the Sun managed to expose the blood-stained garments before the royal court. Too-jan, who had been performing a mask dance for his grandmother, froze mid-movement. A heartbreaking scream escaped his lips. The trauma resurfaced with full force. The memories of his mother clashed with betrayal, pain, and fury. His eyes filled with uncontrollable rage. Neither Gangil nor Im-sunye could calm him. He drew his sword and declared that he would kill them all. Seeing this horrible change, Yeon acted quickly. She ran to Too-jan's side and served him a dish she had prepared, a dish that always soothed his soul. In the web novel version, Yeon served Too-jan his mother's favorite fruits. When he was a child, his mother used to give them to him as a gesture of love and comfort. The taste immediately triggered an emotional reaction. Yeon said sweetly, "Your Highness, do not listen to the words of others accusing your mother. I believe that your mother was a kind and good woman all her life." Too-jan had been searching for the truth. Why was his mother deposed? Why was she murdered? His pursuit of justice had been clouded by anger and vengeance. But Yeon added, "I am sure that your mother would not want you to live like this, tormented by vengeance and pain. She would want you to live freely, to be a great king who rules for his people and who finds happiness in his own life." Her words pierced his heart. As he absorbed them, his breathing slowed and the fury in his eyes gradually faded. Yeon exhaled, relieved to see the man she loved return to himself. In history, this was the night when Too-jan shed blood and earned his title as tyrant. But now Yeon had changed the course of destiny. No one died. Prince the Sun and Kang Mak-yu, furious about the failure of their plan, blamed Yeon. Mak-yu then suggested eliminating her. Prince the Sun agreed and ordered her abduction. A team of assassins infiltrated the palace, killing the guards at the main gate before ambushing Yeon. They left her unconscious, covered her head with a cloth, and dragged her away. Without her captors knowing, her cook's hat had fallen to the ground during the struggle. Later, someone found it and informed Too-jan, filled with rage. Too-jan immediately put on his house clothes and mounted a horse, accompanied by Shinsu, Hyok, and a troop of royal guards. He suspected that Prince the Sun and Mak-yu were responsible and already had a good idea of where to find Yeon. Meanwhile, Yeon regained consciousness and managed to escape from the locked building. One of the guards chased her in the darkness. Too-jan arrived at the place, but he did not know that Yeon had escaped. Another guard, unaware of her escape, set fire to the place to cover their tracks. Too-jan shouted, wanting to rush inside, but Suhak stopped him. Elsewhere, Gil saw Yeon and fought the guard who was chasing her. He protected her and reunited her with Tujan. In the original web novel, Maki was the one who saved Yeon because she secretly loved Tujan. However, in the drama, Maki was portrayed as a cold and calculating woman without any sign of emotional vulnerability. Up to episode 10, there are no hints that she harbors any affection for Tujan. She will receive a redemption arc. While Tujan was absent, Prince the Sun carried out the next part of his plan. He stole Tujan's masked dance costume and sword and infiltrated the chambers of the Great Queen Dowager. Inu, he killed the guards and maids, leaving the Queen Dowager alone. Although she saw through his disguise, Prince the Sun mercilessly killed her and placed Tujan's blood-stained sword at the crime scene to frame him. When Tujan returned, the palace was in chaos. The ministers who supported Prince the Sun accused Tujan of murder. Even those who had supported Tujan before began to doubt him. Yeon, knowing the history, told Tujan that he would not win a war against Prince the Sun and the ministers. She urged him to flee. However, the war had already broken out. The people of Joseon, moved by Yeon's kindness, sided with him. The ministers were overwhelmed by the strength of popular power. In one last desperate move, Prince the Sun approached Queen Yi and offered to elevate Prince Ji-yeong if she supported him. But Queen Yi, grateful to Tujan and Yeon for saving her son's life, rejected Prince the Sun's offer. In retaliation, Prince the Sun set fire to her residence, then went to confront Tujan directly. Both drew their swords and fought. Tujan's sword shattered Prince the Sun's blade. Prince the Sun, full of rage, grabbed Yeon and placed the broken sword at her throat. Tujan immediately threw away his weapon and begged him to release her. Prince the Sun let her go only to stab Tujan. Tujan collapsed and Yeon ran to him, holding his hand tightly. What she did not know was that the Mangan rock had saved him. Tujan had placed the Mangan rock under his robe, planning to give it to Yeon, and the book was stolen by the impact of the stabbing. Yeon opened the Mangan rock and realized that it was full of recipes. Tujan had written down every dish that she had prepared. On the last page, she found a dish that he wanted to cook for her. Earlier, Yeon had joked, "I want to taste the food you prepare for me." But Tujan remembered her wish. A king could not enter the royal palace and cook, so at the very least he wrote down the recipe of the dish he wanted to cook for Yeon. Tujan, smiling at her, said, "One day I want to cook for you." The Sun, furious at seeing the romantic act before his eyes, pulled out a firearm and aimed. Tujan instinctively protected Yeon, and the bullet struck him. As he lay in her arms, the Mangan rock began to shine, just like when Yeon first opened it on the plain. In a flash of light, the book transported Yeon and Tujan. What will happen next? We already made a video that shows how Tujan and Yeon reunite in the future. Watch it to find out. Will the drama have the same ending as the web novel? What do you think?